Good morning and welcome back to another video, and today is another day of the Zero to Gold Cap Challenge. Now just stick around and enjoy the video. Okay, so today we're going to be going over an alliance only farm, and quite frankly you probably understand what farm I'm probably talking about, and that is the Royal Jelly Farm, which is within the Stormsong Valley. Now this is alliance only to pick them up and do all that stuff. It's mainly for this mount here, which is the bee. So if we go to the honey, if we type in honey, we can get the honeyback harvester mount. So this is for this particular thing, because so you can actually get rep. So let's just fly over towards the area so we can actually show you what we're actually doing before we even go ahead and show you the farm, in order to actually work out how we're actually going to do this. So when in question, once you've actually started the actual quest chain, you'll be wanting to go to Beekeeper Barry. Now what you're going to be wanting to get from this guy is a reputation type thing. So you need to actually get your rep as well before you can even do this farm effectively. Now obviously there is other ways in order to do this, and there's multiple different ways in order to actually go about doing it. But the best way for this is to buy the Beeholder's goggles, which when used, which I have in my bag right now, gives you a buff for 60 minutes, showing you where any of the bee deposits are on the map. This makes it a hell of a lot easier in order to actually do and then pick up any thin jelly, royal jelly or rich jelly. So what is actually going about here is you can actually be able to farm this much like herbalism and or mining, and it just makes it a hell of a lot easier to actually find these jelly deposits. Granted, you can just do the introductory quest and not have to worry about your rep and go around going about it like that, but the only thing with that is it makes it a hell of a lot harder trying to find these deposits. Now what I typically like to do is to use this and use it on my druid. This is because my druid can actually pick up jelly deposits without having to dismount. This does work with the sky golem as well if you do not have a druid. The thing of note for this farm is it's actually starting to go back up in price. This is because you actually need to give in a load of these jellies in order to get your reputation up, in order to actually get mount. So that's why Fetch is a decent price overall, is because it's a reputation-esque material which you can actually use, and then what you do with that is you give it in, you get rep, and it's locked, and the mount is locked behind that rep, which means that the jelly can go for a high price, because if you really want the actual mount, then you'll just pay outright for it, and most people do tend to do that. Now, one of the best ways in order to actually go about doing this is basically just using your goggles, and also what you actually, and obviously I follow this route on the screen right here. This is so I just do it around all that way. There is optimized routes you can take, but I found that this one is the most reliable for myself. You are more than welcome to use it, as it's already inside of WorthIt. Now aside from that, what do we actually get from an hour's worth of farming? Well, we can see that we got some decent royal jelly, we got some rich jelly, and we also got some thin jelly. So if we go into our recorder, because I recorded it once again, and we actually bookmarked it as that, and it actually came to 23,573 gold per hour for me to actually farm this up. This is pretty damn good, and overall I got 440 thin jellies, 23 rich jellies and 3 royal jellies. That means that I gathered up quite a substantial amount of jelly with my druid, and that's actually pretty good for a gold per hour. The thing of note for this is if I go into the recorder, and I can see it right now in the recorder for WorthIt, I can just go to import/export and just press export, and there's all my code. If you yourself want to import it, because someone actually messaged me yesterday they don't know how to import, just open up the recorder within WorthIt. You just get the code from my description for this farm, and you just press import, and it will open this up. All you've got to do then is just press save, and it will save it to you. Now aside from all of that, this is definitely a farm well worth it, and overall it was definitely well worth my time, because most farms at the moment are still quite low. They're not overly mental, but they're getting back to somewhat a decent level. And the best one at the moment in time is the royal jelly one, and with a overall sell rate, which is in WorthIt, we can actually have a look. It's at 0.2, so that means you know it's going to sell relatively fast. Now, aside from all of that, I haven't actually had a problem trying to sell royal jelly, even though it is quite contested when it comes towards selling it. And overall I found it to be a good use of my time. It's actually ranking better on my server than the damp scale basilisk eyes, which we actually did the other day, with a better sell rate, so we know which farm is better than the basilisk eyes, and that is definitely the royal jelly at this moment in time for my server in particular. So what do I actually think of this farm? I think this farm is brilliant. It gets the job done. You do need the rep if you are Alliance, but you do need the rep, just remember that, as if you don't have the rep, obviously you're going to find it a lot harder if you haven't got those goggles to actually farm up these jelly deposits. Overall, this is well worth it. It's just like an ordinary herbalism farm when you do have your goggles, and the majority of people that actually do have this rep up, I would recommend actually farming this up, because as people move into Shadowlands, this material will actually start to become more scarce as less people will start farming it. They'll start focusing on Shadowlands content, and therefore, because the mount is locked behind that rep, the price is most likely going to be going up as everyone will be farming up the Shadowlands stuff. So that is something you may want to bear in mind, or even just import it and just keep an eye on how well it's actually doing. That's probably the best way I would go about doing it, is have it still on my WorthIt and just track how much you're going to be getting overall. So aside from all of that, guys, that is pretty much what I wanted to talk about today. I wanted to talk about royal jelly farming. It's really easy in order to do. What you really need to do to actually do this farm is just get your rep up, get the goggles. It'll make it a hell of a lot easier, but if not, just do the introduction quest. I know Hazelnutty did a great video on how to get started on the actual quest chain, or actually unlocking the quest chain for the honeyback hive so you can gather these deposits. And also, one little side note is, basically, if you are a scribe, then I would do it on your scribe, mainly due to the fact that a glyph does come from these jelly deposits. It takes a little while to get hold of it, but it's the glyph of dire bees, and they come from these jelly deposits if you're Alliance. So that is one way I would go about doing it. Aside from all of that, guys, that is pretty much all I had to say for the rest of the day. Have a lovely rest of the day, and I shall see you in the next video, which will be tomorrow. If you want to support the channel and help make the channel even better, then why not check out the Patreon? Members get additional info, gold making resources, and Patreon specific content. The link is located in the description down below. Thank you, and have an awesome day.